Hey guys, welcome back. Didn't really know what to cover, so I just kind of dug around in my vault until I saw something sort of interesting to cover. So we'll be going over the uh, refurbished, if you will, menagerie class swords. One for each class. They are craftable. If you go and buy opulent engrams from the war table in the helm, you can get either the Imperial Decree Shotgun or a class sword for the class that you're logged in on. You need 5 red borders of each to craft them. So each of the swords and then also the shotgun. And they've got some decent rolls. So for the Warlock sword, we'll start with this. We've got a couple of options. I am just going, let it be known that I'm going to recommend Jagged Edge on every single one of these. I just think the increase in impact outweighs any other possible benefit on swords in general. So just always go Jagged Edge. You only get one guard choice. So I'm only on each of the swords. Titan is Heavy Guard, Swordmaster on Gold Tusk. So I'm mostly just going to be covering perk combinations. For the Warlock sword, I think you're looking at a double damage roll first. So you're going to go counterattack and then surrounded or whirlwind blade. Vorpal isn't bad. It's a 10% damage all the time, but whirlwind will stack up fast enough that it'll just out damage Vorpal. And then also it lasts 3.5 seconds, which is pretty reasonable. Surrounded is the same way. 3 enemies are nearby, lingers for a 1.5 seconds. Big damage increase immediately. And enhanced increases the damage on that as well. Now, there is one other thing you can look at, and that is destabilizing rounds. Weapon kills apply volatile to other enemies, any 6.5 meter radius around the target. So you kill an enemy, they become volatile, and then kill them, and they explode. It's a good combination, but on a sword, it's not the best. I think it's still good. If that's the role you want to go with, instead of a damage roll, that's fine. I'd even say it's probably the role to go for, since Bequest is kind of the legendary sword for DPS. And I'll probably cover that in a future video as well. Throne Cleaver, same idea. Unrelenting is very solid here. You don't really have an option for, you don't have counterattack, but you have flash counter. Block and then melee, or melee block to melee after guarding. Yeah, so upon blocking a melee, hang on, I have to actually read how this perk works. I know it's strong, but upon blocking a melee attack within half seconds of starting to block. Okay, so if you block a slam attack from an enemy, which happens a lot because you're using a sword, you get the opportunity to punch them back, and they will take 20% increased damage for 4 seconds. This is actually a very, very strong effect. So that is something to keep in mind. In conjunction with something like Surrounded or Vorpal as like a boss damage trait. Also, you can go Unrelenting and Incandescent. This is the role that I think I've seen most people go because it's just funny. Like, you right click something, it explodes, it all catches on fire. It's just a fun combination to go for. So you can't really go wrong with either. At the end of the day, it's Throne Cleaver. Like, it's just going to be it's a fun sword. Because you can just smack people around with it. And finally, Gold Tusk. I think this is the Hunter Sword. This actually does very solid DPS because the swing speed is very high. So you would go Relentless and Whirlwind Blade in this case. But if you wanted to go with more of an ad clear option, you can always go Unrelenting and Chain Reaction. That said, having seen the amount of damage that people have done with this sword, I would go Relenting Whirlwind. And just YOLO. Works pretty well with Gathering Storm since you can jolt the enemy and then just smack them to proc it over and over again. So very, very solid. Vice Stinger is a really good trade on swords because it believe it decreases your or increases your charge rate. Yes, you get a faster charge rate. So worth looking for. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna review Bequest. Might as well. This is just the sword video now. So the reason Bequest is so good is because for some godforsaken reason, it has 10 more impact than any other adaptive frame sword. So like this is 78. I have a God Roll Night Terror sitting around. That has counterattack Vorpal, so double damage. Can roll surrounded. Only has 68. That's with Jagged Swordmaster, same as Bequest. It also has significantly worse base charge time. I don't know why this sword is the way it is. Swing speed's the same. Guard resistance is the same. Efficiency and endurance are the same. It's just insane. It's like a plus, what is this, 50 charge rate and plus 10 impact and more ammo capacity. Like it's just bizarre. So you've got a couple of options here. The one I went with is Relentless and Surrounded. This is my go-to sword, just DPS option. If I'm in a situation where I need to be doing up-close damage, I'm bringing Bequest and Conditional Finality, and when I run out of heavy ammo, I switch to the shotgun. I think I think spamming this sword is a little bit easier than trying to play around Lament, because Lament's damage combo, if the boss is like half an inch off the ground, just kind of breaks. So I went with Relentless and Surrounded on this. You could also go Vorpal Weapon. It's a little more consistent, but at the same time, Surrounded has more damage. So really, really up to you there. Additionally, you could go something like Wellspring Chain Reaction. Synergizes very well with the Bray Inheritance trait. Whenever Bray Inheritance procs, so whenever you deal damage, you get Grenade, Melee, and Class Ability Energy. Everything counts when you hit something, so Scorch, Chain Reaction, Dragonfly, etc. from the various guns. Because they all do different things. So if you slap something and it explodes, you'll proc Wellspring, and then the explosion will proc this. So you just get a ton of ability energy back off of one kill. So that's also something you could roll with. I personally am just like, if I'm using a sword, I'm using it for damage. I'm not using it for regen usually, or ad clear. I tend to save ad clear weapons for, if I'm using an ad clear and the heavy slot is an LMG, I'm not using a sword for it. You can, and this sword is very good at it, but it's not what I personally do. But if that's what you want to roll with, because you're getting a ton of damage out of something else, like if you're a shotgun type player, so you're using like a shotgun trace rifle and a sword, you can use a sword for ad clear because you're going to be up close and personal anyway. I just don't think that's quite as good as Relentless and Surrounded as a pure DPS weapon, because it has so much extra, it has extra impact and so much extra charge rate. Trying to think, are there any other legendary swords that are like worth a damn? No, we don't have caster frames anymore. They may as well not exist. Other half is an eager edge tool and nothing more. So, yeah, I think that's kind of it. If you really like how this sword looks, this is actually a pretty good sword because again, you can go double damage. I don't know if the extra damage from your infrequent counterattack swings counts. If that makes sense. Yeah, okay, let's say... Alright, so you can't even see the damage profile. So that's something that you would have to test. Is you have to test, does counterattack stack with surrounded? How does it stack? How much damage does it deal? Does that do better than Bequest just left-click spamming? So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, like there's plenty of good swords in this game. I would go DP damage on the Gold Tusk. I would go for the fun add clear combo on Titan or go flash counter with surrounded, but I would lean at unrelenting incandescent. On Death's Razor, I would go counterattack and then destabilizing for add clear, whirlwind for damage. Bequest, I would go damage 100%. And then Night Terror also go damage. And then just use the different swords wherever you want to use them. Bequest for damage, Death's Razor for add clear, etc. But again, this is a very open-ended game. If you can make a build work, roll with it. I've seen a lot of Titan players rock the Throne Cleaver with Stronghold and pop off with it. So however you want to play, you can play in this game as long as you play it correctly. So anyway, that'll be it for this video. I'm probably going to start doing more videos like this. I feel there's a lot of older weapons that you can kind of cover them in groups, kind of like the auto rifle video I did the other day. So I may do a kind of grenade launcher focused video later and cover I think probably just cover all the wave frames, honestly, because we have one in each element. They're all very good right now. Well, you have two that you can get, and then the one from last season is currently unavailable, but will probably be back at some point. So I'll probably just cover all three of those. So I will see you in that video tomorrow.